We ready? Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, yes. Wait, hello, Michael.
Hello. What's your name?
George.
Now, do you like playing here at your nursery?
Yeah.
What's the best bit?
Playing with trains.
Who can tell me what that thing is up there in the corner?
Camera.
A camera? What's it taking pictures of?
People.
What people?
Nursery people.
You mean like you?
Yeah.
It takes many years for a child to master that first revolution in human communication. Language. Do you know who's looking at that camera?
Nobody, because no one's up the sky.
By the time these children at the Cybertot nursery in London reach secondary school, they'll be as familiar with a computer keyboard as my grandfather was with his chalk and his blackboard. These 2- and 3-year-olds will enjoy or endure a 21st century education very different from mine at the end of the 20th century.
We at the moment in our first internet nursery, we have got webcams and parents can log into our website and they can see what children are doing in the nursery in real time, anytime.
Nina Ozzols runs the Cybertots nursery.
We wanted parents to see what's happening during the day because very often when a 2-year-old child goes home and you ask him, now what have you done today, dear? They'll say, nothing. Did you eat anything? No. Did you sleep? No. But if parents can log in and if they can see the child is, for example, baking or eating or sleeping, mother can say, well, I saw you baking today. And then he will say, oh, yes, yeah, we were baking bread. So that will allow children and parents to have some sort of subject they can talk about.
And we're in your office now. Explain what's on the computer screen here.
Well, I've logged into my website and I use the username and password and now we can see the children are eating. Now if I go to another room, I can log in here and I can see that some children are still asleep.
You can see some of them very reluctantly coming to consciousness.
Right, yes. We had a Japanese girl. Her name was Mako and she was from Tokyo. And she was 3 years old. And it was her birthday, and grandfather sent a present from Tokyo. And she opened the present, she was very, very happy. And grandfather in Tokyo had a password, so he could log in, he could see. And he was crying. He phoned us, he didn't speak English, and he was saying like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And parents were crying, we were crying, everyone was crying. And it was just such a wonderful experience, because otherwise how would he know that she really enjoyed his present?
You could let the parents have their own webcams and let the parents talk to the children.
No, we don't want that. Too much communication can be a little bit too much.
Tell me, what would you think if there was a camera in the corner and your husband could watch you all day?
I would think he's sick if he wanted to watch me all day.
Let's go see the children. Okay, hands up who knows that your mummies and daddies and your granddads can watch you now. They could be watching you now through that camera.
They need to look at you what you are doing.
So do you think they're checking that you're okay or checking that you're being a good girl?
They're checking that if I'm going to good girl.
In this programme, we'll be looking at how, in practical terms, communications technology is changing the way we live our lives, how we learn, how we do business, how we travel, how we receive healthcare. It's changing us from our earliest days to our final days.
I have multiple sclerosis. I also have heart condition. So if I fell, I wouldn't be able to get back up. My husband now has multi-system atrophy.
And all my functions, well, they are doing, they're gradually going.
Colin and Mavis Ackrill live on the coast here in the northeast of England.
Both his mind and his body is gradually shutting down. His brain is shrinking extra quickly. He's just shutting down.
Yeah, yours would be the one that's the Humber Bridge.
Their home is filled with china dolls and photographs, souvenirs of journeys that they can no longer make. But with a telephone line connected to some equipment from a company called the Tunstall Group, they are at least relatively safe in their home.
It's comforting to know that I have a button and I take it to my bedside, and if there's anything happens during the night, we just press this button, and it's reassuring to know that there's someone at the end of it, will take action straight away. It's been a boon to us. So.
You press the button and you hear a reassuring voice saying, "Do not be afraid, do not worry, your call will be answered shortly."
You've a sensor in the kitchen. Tell us what that's for.
That's for the gas, because my husband kept playing with the gas taps, leaving them on, and we found he'd lost his sense of smell as part of his illness.
I was like not turning it off when I'd used it.
The gas?
The gas, that is, yes. And there was a smell there, but I couldn't smell it because my sense of smell has gone completely.
If you'd not had help, if you'd not had these little red buttons, what do you think might have happened?
Gas could have carried on letting the gas out, house blown up. In the future, as he goes downhill further, which we know he will be, I know that there's somebody there to give me a hand when I need it.
You've two sons, I believe, and they don't live with you anymore. They're grown men in their 40s now.
Well, yes, and it used to be that it was Auntie lives across the road and Mum lived down the road and everybody was with everybody. But now they move away and they all have their own lives to lead. They're all busy lives. My sons don't have to worry about so much. They know that we're safe.
Do not worry. Your alarm telephone is dialing for assistance.
Hello, Andy, you're speaking to Jackie at Response. Your flood detector has been activated. Is everything all right?
Yes, everything's fine, thank you, Jackie. You can clear the call down, it's just a test call.
Thank you, then. Bye-bye for now.
What you were hearing there was a lifeline unit which has a number of sensors around the home, and the information is then relayed to a remote monitoring centre.
Steve Sadler is Technical Director of the Tunstall Group, one of the leaders in a field called telehealthcare. They can load a house with remote sensors on the food cupboard, the microwave, the kettle, and they can monitor them from miles away to check that someone made vulnerable by age or illness is eating regularly. They can also monitor the doors at the home of someone with dementia to see if, in the early hours of the morning, they wander outside. Motion sensors can detect a falling person, and with a pressure sensor on the bed, they can see if you've lingered there too long or failed to return to it. They can check your daily habits and track your vital signs.
What you have is a unit that is intended to look and feel like a bedside alarm. And the idea is it will wake you up in the morning and prompt you to do various things. It will ask you to stand on the weighing scales, take your blood pressure, take your blood oxygen level. It will also go through a few question and answer sessions with you to check other vital signs. Once all that information has been gathered, it transmits it down the phone line again to this remote monitoring centre. The whole idea being that, let's say, a nurse at that end will look at your vital signs and see whether they're within normal parameters. If they're not, she'll take some action, maybe come and visit you.
Why don't you show me what it does?
Okay. Would you like to be measured yourself?
Not really, but I will. Hang on.
Good afternoon. It's now time to record your vital signs. Please step on the scale.
This could be embarrassing. Can you ask it to be quiet?
Place the blood pressure cuff on your right arm above the elbow. Tighten it securely.
Oh no, I can feel this cuff on my arm tightening up.
Please remove the finger sensor and the blood pressure cuff.
Right, off comes the cuff.
Thank you for completing your vital signs measurement.
It's now transmitting my details, including my weight, which I'm not going to tell anybody about. It's transmitting that to a monitoring centre. Correct. And they'll have a look at that and just see how I'm doing and see the trend over the past days or weeks.
Exactly that, yes.
So what then do you think is the future for this kind of technology?
Where people are going next is providing implantable, in some cases, devices around the body to provide exactly those sort of real-time measurements. And, of course, the mobile phone network is quite a good one in terms of a basis for providing data transfer to the care team.
So you can see a future where I've got a number of sensors implanted into my body, constantly reporting on my state of health.
Yeah, why not? I think all of us are interested in tracking our own state of health and what we can do to maintain it. I've been using these devices for quite a while now, and I've got passionately interested in keeping my blood pressure down. Now, that can't be a bad thing.
Please enter your user ID, followed by the pound key.
The revolution is truly global. Nearly 7,000 kilometres away in Rwanda, another robotic voice is helping to save lives too, saving the lives of people with AIDS.
To obtain patient information, press 1. To enroll a new patient,
This is the hospital at Rwamagana in the eastern province of Rwanda. There's an AIDS clinic here, and through an internet connection or through a mobile phone, they can send data to TrackNet. It's a central system that helps the Department of Health keep track of patients right around the country, from Kigali Central Hospital to small rural clinics like this. In charge of the service providing the antiretroviral drugs is Faina Uwimana.
This system helped get a rapid response. We enter the data and we get the results back quickly. We don't need to go to the capital, Kigali. The system helps inform me about my patient. How's he doing? What kind of drugs does he need? And Kigali can send us the right drugs when we need them.
One of the patients here is Jacqueline. Jacqueline, my name's Mike Williams from the BBC. Can I have a quick chat? Just, if you would, tell me first of all about your HIV status. How did you come to know that you carried the virus?
I discovered it in 2004 when I had my first child. He was very sick all the time, and I wondered why. I wasn't really scared because I knew I could get hold of antiviral drugs. So I went immediately to the hospital to tell them my problem, and I'm now getting the drugs.
Jacqueline is taking her pills now, and the doctor is telling her how they use the TrackNet system. She says that it helps them to get the drugs that people need, the drugs that are keeping Jacqueline and her son alive.
You can't really tell my son has AIDS. He's healthy now. He takes the antiviral drugs and he looks fine.
New information and communication technologies are helping to keep this precious baby alive. And those advances will bring changes throughout his life, through his school years, and it's to be hoped well beyond. In a poor district called Ruambaradu, where the capital city gives way to the green hills of the countryside, there's a school, St. Andre's. It's one of 6 in the country that's leading the way in high-tech education. I'd say there are about 40 or 50 students here gathered around 20 computers in the cool, dark classroom. There's a blackboard here on the wall. Well, it's not a blackboard. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's a technology that's new to schools in the wealthy West. It's actually a massive computer screen. It's displaying a computer desktop, I suppose, and I can navigate through the documents just by touching the screen here and here.
We are using standard bar and formatting bar. Formatting bar, we change the size of character. Here, whenever I take 12 or 20, I may write using this keyboard. I'm teaching ICT at Group School.
Now the teachers stepped outside and they've all gone straight onto the internet. Let's go and have a quick look at what they're looking at. Their favourite websites, I can see one here. It's a game where you can punch Osama bin Laden. Someone's doing a web search for football, it looks like. Yeah, football?
Yes, for World Cup.
FIFA World Cup.
I'm looking for the news of Cisse.
Jibril Cisse, the Liverpool player. There's a young woman here who's doing her email. Who are you writing to?
I'm writing to my friend.
Where's your friend?
She's here.
You're writing to your friend who's sitting right next door to you. One of the students here is Honoré Irwa. Let's take him outside and have a word. Honoré, what are you learning here today?
I'm learning ICT.
Why?
Because I love it.
Why do you love it so much?
I love it because it's a modern course.
It's modern. You're 15 now. When you're older, what do you want to do?
I want to be a computer scientist. I want to write programs, create new programs, like programs in my local language.
In Kinyarwanda, you want to write programs in Kinyarwanda. Why is that important?
If they know how to use computers in our local language, it's going to be more easy. The traders going to use it in order to improve their business. Teachers going to use it in order to teach. It's important for both me and my country.
Let's listen to it 3 times.
喂，请问张小姐
From a class for 40 people in Africa to one that can hold millions, maybe billions of students right across the globe.
对， 他出去了。Second time. 喂，请问
A language school in Shanghai. It's run by Ken Carroll, and last year he expanded his operation well beyond the classroom walls. He transmits his lessons over the internet. The technique is called podcasting.
What a podcast can do is that you can select the very, very best teacher or teachers and record their lessons then. 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people can then consume that lesson.
Who are your students?
We have users in over 70 countries. We've had about 4 million downloads of the lessons. Most of the traffic has come from the United States. After that, there's a lot of Europeans, a lot of Australians too. And quite a number of Asian users now we're finding these days. There's a tremendous interest amongst the Japanese, the Koreans, and the Malaysians, surprisingly, in recent times.
What's the power of podcasting?
I think the power of podcasting is the scalability, plus the fact that it's personal, plus then the fact that it can be consumed at your leisure. Now, a lot of people are using it, for example, at the gym. They're using it maybe when they're stuck in traffic. So they're doubling up on their free time, or they're making use of dead time or downtime. The ease of consumption. And I think there are a number of things that make it unique.
Tell me how big your classroom is.
There's now an archive of about 200 lessons there. We've 120,000 unique visitors to the website each month. We believe we're seeing something very, very dramatic here and very, very, very interesting. So I think we've touched into some potential. We do aspire to having a global, very, very large classroom within 2 to 3 years. I think it's well possible we could have close to 1 million users within 2 years.
That's some classroom.
It's quite a big classroom.
是吗？
Really?
是吗？
Is that true?
After 200 yards, turn right. Then you have reached your destination.
From Shanghai to London, it's apparently 5,710 miles. I know that because the car just told me so. With its global positioning system, it could navigate me all the way to China, but for the time being, I just want to go home.
Turn left.
I'm 4.73 miles away now, according to this GPS system. There's a constellation of satellites above the Earth telling me the quickest route to take, and I'm told I'll arrive in 6 minutes. I might even make it before the village shop shuts for the night.
Turn right. Then you have reached your destination.
It's breakfast time here in the Williams household. My wife's flying out of the country for a few days, and she's going to take the bus to the airport.
Yeah, good morning. I'd like to book a seat, please, on a bus from Gatwick to Heathrow this morning. The 10:45, please.
She tells me she can book the journey over the phone and that they'll send some kind of electronic ticket back to her mobile.
Can you send it to me as a text message, please? I just show my phone to the driver and right, okay, great. Thank you, bye.
I don't understand how it works.
He's going to text me that number to my phone and I show it to the driver. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so I've got a text message.
So you got your ticket?
Yeah, it's a text message with a number on it, and that's my ticket.
Well, now my wife's gone and I've come back to bed. I've got the radio on, a cup of coffee and my laptop computer. We've got a wireless network here in the house, so I can actually work from bed. But first, I need to do the shopping that I didn't have time for last night. Now, I've logged on to a supermarket website and I can click my way through a shopping list here. Since I'm on my own, I'm going to revert to a bachelor-like menu. 2 pizzas. A case of beer, maybe a curry too. I don't think I need to bother with the vegetable section. If I type in a credit card number and confirm, and now I just have to wait for it to be delivered.
2 or 3 years ago, probably the only things you could buy online that really were a part of your normal shop would be a book or a CD that you might have gone into a shop and seen and thought, well, I can buy it cheaper online. You're sure you know what you're getting. Now, almost anything's available, from houses, through cars, clothing, handbags, food. You could sit as a couch potato sitting in front of your home entertainment centre with your wireless laptop, and everything can be delivered to your door. You needn't move, you're just going to get fat.
I'm rather embarrassed to say that's exactly what I was doing. Ed Warner is chief executive of an online trading company, and he writes about economic trends.
Well, the communications revolution has fundamentally changed the way businesses are structured. It used to be that location was the most important thing. Your first asset was bricks and mortar, the property you operated out of. Now that's the least important. The most important thing now is to have the right idea, the right brand, and then the right communications strategy over the internet.
Can you run a business without a website these days? Just looking online and find little old ladies in their cottages making jam have a web presence.
I don't think so. Why would you? It's so inexpensive to set up a simple flat page website that you'd be a fool not to do it. Now, if you don't come up on a Google search, people assume that your business is somehow dodgy or doesn't exist. Why isn't it there?
Picking up in the First Symphony of Jean Sibelius.
This revolution in the way we learn, the way we travel, the way we do business, in the way we do a dozen different things every day, is quite remarkable. But some aspects do worry me. From here in my bedroom in a quiet village in England, I can talk to people right across the globe. I like talking to people. We all crave human contact. And the technology lets us do that easily now. But because of that revolution, I actually don't need to leave my home at all. I can order food without speaking to anyone. I'll never have to say thank you to the lady in the shop. The delivery driver can just type in my address and his car will tell him how to get here. The communications revolution is changing the way we connect with other people, fundamentally changing the structure of our society. I'll be investigating that some more in a fortnight. But it's also changing the way we get our news, entertainment, information. It's spawning radical new media. And that's what I'll be looking at next week. Until then, I'll stick with the radio. I hope you do too. Thanks for listening.